right, guys, welcome back to another Victoria Events with Caleb Shaw. It is Monday, February 28th. Want to give a quick thank you to Steve for filling in for me while I was gone. He did a great job. They always do. It was like they didn't even need me. They did spectacularly. But we are back and we are ready to get going. We got a stacked show today. Really excited for it. And if you cannot tell, I am covered head to toe in goosebumps, and I am extremely nervous in a good way right now because we have the Texas Zoo with us. And young lady, why don't you introduce yourself if you don't mind?
My name is Katlyn. I'm the education director at the Texas Zoo. I've been involved with the zoo since I was 4, went to camp, did volunteering, did internships, and now I'm running the education department, and I absolutely adore it.
Well, we adore you being here, and you have a guest today, and so let's talk about her.
So I have Angel. She is a ball python, or also known as a royal python. They are native to Africa, and they can be found pretty much all over the country. They're very hardy animals. They can be found in the desert, in rainforests, and even in the plains. They are carnivores and one of the most docile snakes on the planet. They're known to be found just kind of randomly, and African shamans will pick them up, put them around their neck, on their head, around their wrists, and wear them as live jewelry for different ceremonies that they have.
Yeah, okay, there's a lot to unpack there. First, yeah, so those that don't know, I wouldn't normally put my fears out there, but there's 2 things I'm scared of in life, and that's needles and those things right there, snakes. But I'm excited to learn. We were talking just briefly, but I noticed these little red spots, and I don't know what they're called, around her mouth while she's looking at me. And what do those things do? I noticed, my understanding of old school is when they throw out their tongue, they're kind of like, that's their smelling or something, where
Yes.
they're gathering and assessing what's going on out there and stuff. And so talk me through a little bit about this one and how she's smelling things and taking me in right now.
So right now, this is a whole new environment for her. She's using her tongue, and she's kind of flicking it out to try and get all of the chemicals that are around her and in this space to bring them closer to her. So this is a new table, it's a new texture, so she's super interested in that right now. That's why she's not really moving around a whole lot. But she seems to really like it. And she's just trying to see everything that's kind of been on the table or what's kind of in the room. And the more she flicks her tongue out, the more she can sense on what's going on.
Well, she probably knows she's the dominant one at this table because she's definitely in charge. You said she was past her life expectancy already?
Yes,
how old?
She is mid to late 20s. So a lot of our animals that we get at the zoo, they are ex-pets. People get these animals and they think they know exactly what to do. It's just like a dog, like a cat, and it's not. They need way more care than what people originally think. And we're so grateful that these people realize not really their mistakes, but how to give these animals the life that they need. And they contact us or they contact a rehabber, and we figure out what the best situation it is for her or for any of the animals that we receive. And we ended up keeping her, and we've had her for about 10 to 15 years. We weren't sure how old she was when we got her. We just had a roundabout number. But she is absolutely incredible, and she is our old lady, and she's my computer buddy.
How often we were talking about feeding schedules, how often does that thing eat?
So our snakes at the zoo eat every 2 weeks.
Okay.
Snakes aren't like mammals or birds or anything else. Pretty much any reptile is pretty good about eating only once a week or twice a week. Some alligators or larger animals can eat once a month, and they're perfectly fine.
And I mean, this may not be the question to ask, but do they eat mice or do they eat?
So we get all of our food frozen. We feed everything frozen just so it's healthier for our animals, and it's also healthier for the animals that they're being fed. We don't want anybody to get hurt. We don't want it to be stressful for anybody, and it's also more ethical on our standpoint. Of course, what other facilities do or what other people believe in.
Totally understand. Now, before I ask my next question, can I touch it just a little bit?
Yeah.
Now, that being said, it's not gonna flip around or anything.
No, here.
I'm just a big old weenie with this. That, that's such an odd feeling. Wow, they're so cold. Yeah, I know they're cold. What is it? I can't think of much, right? Cold-blooded, there you go. Cold-blooded. Yeah, this is, Wow, that's about the extent of. I'll just hold its tail right here while we talk for a second, just so I can feel that. But how many of these guys do you all have over there, roughly on stage?
We have 2 ball pythons, and we have about 10 snakes, 10 different snakes. Some of them are on exhibit, and some of them are off.
How many roughly animals do y'all have in that whole zoo?
We have a little over 100.
Okay, that. Sorry, my question asking ability is kind of trailing right now because I'm focused on this guy. While I have you here and I'm holding his tail awkwardly, let me ask you, you guys have an event coming up, Paint the Zoo. This sounds really fun. God, I got too nervous. I'm going to step. Well, I kind of want to feel it. So I'm going to stay here awkwardly just sharing this tail with you real quick.
No, you're good.
Tell me about Paint the Zoo.
So Paint the Zoo, it is a great fundraiser. We have canvases available.
I'm not trying to play handy with you,
no, you're
but
fine.
I want to. That's such an odd feeling.
This month we are going over barn owls. So the canvas will have a pre-drawn barn owl on it, and then you paint it however you want. You take full creative liberty on it. We'll have snacks, cheese, like pepperoni, ham, all that kind of fun stuff. Just fun snacks to munch on, and it's BYOB, so whatever you prefer to drink, bring it on, and if we have any extra cups, we'll help supply those, but it's pretty much whatever you want to drink, whatever you want to bring it on in, and if we have the ability, we'll bring out an animal for everybody to meet also.
Roger that. And this is a big fundraising event for you guys that helps. How can people, especially ones that are much braver than I am and stuff, do you guys need volunteers? Do you need, what can we do as a community besides obviously going, and what can we do as a community to support you guys?
We are always hungry for volunteers. We're also always hungry for interns and just any way anybody would like to help. The zoo community is so much more than just scooping poop. It's teaching, it's PR, it's marketing, it's zoos are companies just like anything else, and every little thing that helps a company run, it's the same thing to help a zoo run. So anything that you would like to do or any special skill that you have, and just want to see how could I help with what I do, and I can promise you we can find something.
Outstanding. No, that's so awesome, and I know these paint events, people just absolutely have a fun time at these things, and for somebody like me that can barely keep it between the lines when you're trying to do something, it's good that y'all give us a base to start with, so I don't just give you some abstract art that just looks like it exploded onto the page. What am I forgetting to talk about? Because I'm still super nervous, and so I'm not firing on all cylinders with questions. But is there anything interesting about this young lady here, or old lady here, that just give me some more info on this thing, or keep talking where it gives me an excuse. Where don't they used to have some little nubbins or something on them that come off somewhere or stick out or something?
They evolved over thousands and
here. I'm 1,000 years old and my dad
thousands and thousands of years ago.
Don't tell my wife that I try to convince her I'm right all the time.
And there are some legless lizards, so we still have that evolution going on currently. But they're pretty much as perfect as snakes can be. They are pretty ideal for where they live. They can adapt to many different environments, except the freezing cold. So how the weather is right now, it's not her best friend, but driving back and forth, we have the seat warmer on and she loves it.
That's so fun. So how do you, if it's not something gross, how do you tell if that's a female? What gives that away or shows that?
One big thing you can tell with snakes is their tail length. So I know they look like one giant tail, but if I flip her tail over right here, you can see where her scales change. So you can kind of see right here where the pattern changes. So where that pattern changes is where her tail starts. Many male snakes of many different species, their tails are actually significantly shorter versus females that are longer, and that's so they can easily hold on to eggs.
Okay, well and the eggs pop out back here?
So they have a cloaca, so one hole, everything.
All right, that's interesting.
Pretty simple.
Thank you so much. And thanks for bearing with me being a big old scaredy cat
problem.
over here. But that I appreciate it nonetheless, and we look forward to working with you guys more and having you on. Paint the Zoo, March, we're already in March.
Yeah, we're already in March.
March 3rd, 110 Memorial Drive, 6:30 to 9, $40 BYOB, snacks provided for the Texas Zoo. Guys, get out and support them. This is just awesome, and thank you again so much for being here.
No problem.
Let's take a quick break to hear from our amazing sponsors, and we will be right back.
Since 1932, Wallach & Volk has been closing mortgages and doing it the right way. The reason why the Volks opened up a bank at the height of the Great Depression was because the bank needed to be opened at the height of the Great Depression. And it was good for the community at that time. A lot of the banks were going under. In order to keep that community sound and stable, it was something that they did. I think that says something about who Wallach & Volk was 85 years ago. And the only way you get to continue to do it is if you consistently do it great. And we plan on doing this for another 85 years.
Marketing today can be complex. Emails, customer relationship management, lead tracking, landing pages, and text messaging. But what if you could do it all with just one tool? And what if there was an agency behind the solution that could do it with you? Or better yet, do it for you? Introducing Thrive Fuel 360, the new do-it-for-you digital marketing solution. Drive leads, nurture prospects, automate follow-up, connect with your audience, and book appointments all in one place. Thrive Fuel 360.
It's Cayman Furniture's annual President's Day sale. Hi, I'm Bentley Cayman, and it's happening right now up to 65% off on all furniture. Plus, up to 5 years of no money down and no interest.
And you thought I was kidding? Buy today, and we'll have it in your home tonight.
All right, guys, we are back with our next guest. I always appreciate when people take the time out of their day to come on when they're running for an office, when they're doing something, because it's a huge intrusion into their time, into their family. They got to drive all over the place, talk to weird people like me, and do all this stuff. So I'm very grateful that you came on. For those that don't know who you are, if you wouldn't mind, please introduce yourself and let us know what office you're running for.
Sure. My name is Eric Mireles. I'm one of the candidates for the United States congressional race in District 27. I'm a native to Robstown, born and raised there, and I currently own a house there. That's where I live right now.
Man, before I forget, there used to be a meat market there, something that whenever we were passing through Dulce, or when we were leaving Dulce and going through Robstown, there was a meat market there that had some good breakfast tacos.
Lemon Gems.
There you go.
Yeah.
That was the spot. Yes, sir.
Yes.
I've eaten quite a few of their tacos. But
yes.
That's just a side note coming from a Dulce resident right there next to Robstown.
Got you.
What made you decide to want to run for this office?
Well, I spent a number of years overseas, and I got to see how a lot of other governments worked and how the communities responded to them. So it was kind of a long thing coming, I guess, but what really put the icing to the cake, on the cake was the pandemic. I had some very strong feelings about that. I mean, that affected my household, my family, my friends. It affected the whole world tremendously. And, I just feel it could have been handled a little differently. I don't want to say better, I just think it could have been handled differently. And it made me think about a lot of things. And then when I saw, we're still in the aftermath. Actually, we're still kind of in it, but the reactions that happened to that action of the pandemic, I feel, we're still hurting. We've not recovered from them. I feel the world's never going to be the same.
The fix was almost worse than the problem.
Exactly, and the thing of it is, there were just, so many things I felt could have been handled differently. I felt they should have got the communities involved a little bit more, because what hurts one community one way may not hurt another community the same way, and I feel that they should have allowed each area kind of had a larger voice in how it was handled, And as far as for everything that happened afterwards, there were a number of people that were affected tremendously, like financially. There were businesses that never recovered. Some of them are trying to recover. People lost their jobs. Companies that will never be able to come back. Even families that got divorces due to financial struggles and things that they suffered during the pandemic. And then to come to find out, there were actually a number of programs and options that people had that a lot of us didn't even know they existed, due to lack of communication, and that's kind of one of the reasons that really kind of put the stamp on me wanting to run. I feel there's a huge lack in communication, and hopefully, should I get elected, I'll get the chance to try to bridge that.
Yes, sir. Well, I think those are very valid points, because even for the people that don't want this to be political, or it's so hard to gauge what's true and what's not. When they come out and they tell you, don't wear a mask, that it doesn't help, and then 6 weeks later it's, no, we just told you that because we didn't want the doctors and the nurses to run out of masks, but now you really do need to wear them. And the CDC guidelines are always flip-flopping and bouncing and back and forth, and it's confusing. But you're right. It's real people that suffer in the meantime. It's real businesses, and I have several friends that just like you mentioned, that their businesses have shut down. Some of them aren't coming back. Some of them are just a thread away from losing everything that they've invested to, and you know, the virus is often blamed, but the virus doesn't pick and choose, and the virus doesn't close its business. Politicians did that,
People
you know,
do that.
And people do that, and you know, I think a lot of people's motives were pure in the sense that they were trying to protect, but then I also think there was a lot of power grabbing going on, and what is that old saying? Don't let a good, you know, what is it? Good something go to waste. A good, you know, emergency go to waste, where they saw an opportunity to crack down on people, and they have. So I appreciate that. What has been different from you is coming from Robstown, you know, and you know, again, that's special to me because I grew up 20 miles down the road in Agua Dulce, and so you know, we're still small town over there, even Robstown and all that. What do you think qualifies you for this, or why are you the guy that people should consider?
Well, honestly, I think anybody from our community is qualified to do this job. If they've got a love for the community and they've got a drive to try to do better, I don't see why anybody can't do what I'm doing, to be honest with you. What differentiates me, honestly, I'm just a person that had enough drive to want to do this, to be honest with you. I do have an interesting background. I was born and raised in Robstown. I've been in oil and gas for about 22 years, and majority of that was overseas and in other states, other areas. Wasn't up until recently, probably the last 4 years or so, right before the pandemic hit, that I came back to Texas working in this general area. So I've gotten to see, I mean, a lot of different governments, a lot of different areas. And one thing I've learned is, you know, if you want progress in any form or fashion, you've got to engage in the community. You got to know what's going on the ground. And, you know, when this pandemic happened, I felt there was a huge disconnect right there. You know, they should have just been more engagement, involved the people instead of dictating. And I felt that that's kind of what happened, unfortunately.
And then I think it kind of led to, well, if you don't believe in this stuff, then you're the one. You know, it caused a divide of further. When more than ever we needed to be unified.
Yes.
It caused division to me, and people, you know, well, you're the reason I'm getting sick, or you know, it's like, no, calm down, and that we needed unification, and division was brought, in my humble opinion, you know, and so I think I agree with what you're saying. A lot of stuff going on in the news right now, Ukraine being the big one.
Yes.
How does this, you know, how do you think this affects us here in the States, and what is the answer to Ukraine? I don't know what it is at this point, or really what to do, but what are your thoughts on this?
Wow, that's a lot. Honestly, I feel we should be more aggressive. You know, as far as from the United States standpoint, you know, my heart goes out to the people in the Ukraine right now, and you know, I don't think people realize the impact Ukraine has on the rest of the world. And if they're in a state of emergency or in a state of need, I think people like the United States, along with other countries, we should step up. You know, this is not a time to shy away or pretend, you know, we don't see this or turn the cheek. You know, we should step up, you know, particularly, you know, because it's Russia that's doing this. You know, there's been a long history between Russia and the United States, and you know, it's kind of one of those things. I feel it's going to be like, you know, you ever seen a bully in school where they go walking, they kind of knock your books down and whatnot? Well, that's kind of what's going on right now. And it may not be knocking our books down, but they're knocking my friend or my cousin's books down. And it still affects me, you know? So at what point do you go in there and interfere and say, hey, enough's enough? You know, this has got to stop before it escalates to an even, you know, worse situation.
Yes, sir. Very quickly, what about our borders? You know, we're hearing a lot about the sovereignty of Ukraine borders right now, but our borders are being flooded here, and we're having these bailouts almost weekly here in the Victoria area. What do you think the answer is to secure the border, and well, just what's your border answer or thoughts?
Honestly, I think it begins with an open line of communication between the state, the local government, and the federal level. I feel that everybody has a different opinion. And I think we should make a decision based on facts rather than opinion, or let our emotions cloud the situation a little bit too much. I mean, at the end of the day, it's the people that elect us into these types of positions, you know, and we always need to have the people's best interests regardless. And the best way to do that is to be unified, not, you know, separated. And I feel when it comes to the border, there's so many different opinions. I mean, we've not been on the same page at all, you know, and I think it's important to show that unity, and especially right now with everything going on in the world, and you see, you know, a situation between Russia and Ukraine, we cannot be showing any form of weakness. We've got to stay unified. I mean, we are a strong country, and I feel like it's one of those things, you know, kind of like when you go to the gym, you know, if you go with the mindset that you're going to go have a good workout, you're going to have a great workout. But if you go with the mindset like, man, I'm kind of tired, this isn't, you know, I could be doing this or I should be relaxing, well, that's what's going to happen there. And I think we need to get together and come up with a rational and positive, progressive decision on what we want to do with the borders. And I don't think there's one answer. I think it's going to take all levels of government to be involved.
Yes, sir. No, I think that's solid and don't disagree with you. For those that want to follow your campaign or they want to reach out to you or, you know, they've got more questions and they just want to get to know you better, how can they do so?
I've got a Facebook page, personal one. It's under Eric Mireles. I got a political page, Eric Mireles for U.S. Congress, and I've got a website, Eric Mireles for Congress. It's me managing them, so I'm trying to keep up as best as I can. I've also got an Instagram, which we recently started. I had my niece and a few other family members help me with that because I'm not very good on social media. But
I can feel your pain there, man. I'm with you. It's a struggle for me too.
Massively, yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
But we're slowly progressing, and you know the election is tomorrow, and so we're hoping for a good outcome. And either which way, I think there's a lot of good candidates, and I wish the best of luck to all of them out there, and that's in all the races. I've met a lot of great people, and I'm hoping for a positive outcome any which way it goes.
Well, we appreciate you taking the time to come here. Again, as a Dulce boy, I appreciate that you're from Robstown. That's my area. That's where I grew up. And it was always real good to me down there, and so were the people. And so I know this is a big intrusion. It's a pain in the butt to drive all the way over here and all that.
Thank you so much for allowing me to be here.
Well, we appreciate you doing it. Guys, we got one more guest. I'm excited for this one. This has been a great show. I'm pumped. Let's take a quick break for our sponsors, and we'll be right back.
It's no secret that Americans are always connected to their devices. Phones, tablets, and connected TV devices like Roku, Fire TV, and Apple TV. Reaching consumers through video has never been more complicated. That's why there's now Thrive Fuel Every Screen. With every screen, you can reach the right audience on every device at the right time. Target physical addresses using GPS data to serve video ads at scale and with precision. Bring the science of behavioral and demographic targeting to your video campaigns. Every screen combines OTT, CTV, internet pre-roll, and social video all in one place. Make the most of your video marketing strategy with Thrive Fuel Every Screen. Available now.
All right, guys, we are back with our last guest, and I always say I'm excited, but I'm excited. I've loved the musical aspect of the show and been so appreciative that the Victoria Symphony Orchestra has been such a great partner with us, and they're always willing to come on and talk to us, and now they've taken it a step further, and they have allowed me to finally, we talked about it a few weeks ago, but finally get to see and I want to say it right, Pipa. And so before I get too excited, we go all the way down the road. If you wouldn't mind, please introduce yourself, and then we'll have the gentleman.
Hello, good morning, everyone. My name is Changlu Wu. It is so honored to be here.
Well, we're very honored to have you here. And sir?
Yes, and I'm Daryl One. I'm music director of the Victoria Symphony Orchestra here, and honored to be here with Caleb as well as with Changlu.
Yes, sir. And you guys just had a great performance, the classical Blockbuster Meets the East. And I know Victoria really appreciated having that. And so thank you. And thank you for bringing your talent here. And more importantly, thank you for coming on this show, because I had no idea what and I still got to look to make sure I say a Pipa.
Pipa.
I'm gonna get it right before the end of the show. But it's a beautiful instrument to me, and I got the privilege of hearing you warm up and play, and I was just blown away by the beauty of it. Can you tell me a little bit about this instrument, maybe the history of it, and kind of, I just don't know anything about this.
Oh, this is a pipa. The pipa is a traditional Chinese instrument, has been existed for over 2,000 years. Wow. Yeah, so it's a very popular instrument in China.
And I hate to even ask or the comparison, but is it like a Chinese guitar or similar?
It's similar. It is lute-like. Yeah, it's shaped like a pear. That look like this.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Kind of like a mandolin.
Yeah,
right.
Kind of mandolin.
People know that.
Yeah.
Right.
And it has 4 strings, A-D-E-A.
A-D-E-A. Yeah, that's okay. Yes. And how high do you play up there, or do you come all the how low do your hands come?
It's here. Can I hold the paper?
Well, you can hold. Yeah, show me. Let's
this
look
is
at
like this.
So you go all the way down there.
Yes.
Wow,
yes.
Wow. How long have you been playing this your whole life?
I started learning pipa when I was 6 years old.
Wow.
And I went to Shanghai Conservatory of Music when I was 9.
Wow. Wow. How do you, when you go about picking a show, when you're going to bring a show to Victoria, how do you even go about finding talent like this and finding somebody to come and play these neat instruments, or to have a show like you guys just did, which I think is great, the Classical Blockbusters Meet the East? How do you go about putting one of those shows together?
Well, as far as the show itself, I mean, we're always trying to balance a lot of things. We're trying to balance budget, because some pieces are require more instruments and more expensive, or they're more rental pieces. We also have to take into consideration what our audience is like, right? I mean, if we're not a country western town, we don't play country western music, right?
Yes, sir.
So Classical Blockbusters, we're trying to bring the more popular works, to put in, and that's why it's Classical Blockbusters Meets the East, because this is the East.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
yeah.
And
Yes,
then
sir.
there's the Classical Blockbusters. So in that sense, we're trying to straddle a couple of worlds, and that, but at the same time create a popular program. Now, that's just the standalone. I mean, all the other ones may be different. We may do a completely different theme for another one, or there may not be one. There may not be a theme because it's a well-known piece. Like if we decided to do the Beethoven Fifth, which everybody knows, then it doesn't need a title or any kind of a program. So it's all kind of different. But the aim is always to present high-quality music that our audiences will enjoy, and at the highest level that we can perform it. Now, as far as the Pipa is concerned and all this, one of the things I wanted to do was to try to feature instruments that are not the traditional ones, a violin concerto or a piano concerto. We had, for example, a few seasons back, a saxophone concerto. And then another time we had another Chinese instrument. It's called the erhu. And we had a player that came and played that instrument and played a concerto for that. And so it just seemed natural looking for more unusual instruments. The next thing I was looking to say, well, besides the erhu, what other instruments are there? Chinese, as well as Japanese. There are other instruments like that. And then the idea of the pipa came up. And then I had found out that Changlu is in Sugarland. She's just right up the road.
Yeah.
And she's also played this with she played it with the Houston Symphony and with Corpus Christi. So it was, so I heard about it through that. And then when contacted her and see if she'd be interested in playing this piece with us, and she graciously said yes. This was before the pandemic, so when the pandemic struck, the concert that she was on got wiped out. So we had to think of trying to go for the next season, but again, we still had the trail ends of at least the first wave anyway, so we couldn't do it then, and then so here it is the third season after, that we should have had her, and to have her come back now. So we're glad that she's here, and
Absolutely.
And that she could play it with us. It was great.
Yeah, no, I'm very glad you're here, and I like the concept of, you know, bridging different worlds with this, because as I'm growing older, I'm getting much more of an appreciation for the orchestra and the different instruments. And while I always liked music, the younger I was, the more it was just about what was on the radio. Or, you know, if somebody would have tried to talk me into my 20s, you know, to go to the orchestra, I would have had very little interest, and shame on me. Now as I look back, I want to go kick my young self in the rear end and say, what were you missed all of this stuff. But I think that's such a great idea of, you know, combining two worlds with Blockbusters Meets the East, because you cross borders and you bring in people that may normally have never even heard this stuff, and then they get an appreciation for it, and that's where, you know, Miss Michelle over there and the whole Victoria Symphony Orchestra has been such a blessing in my life, because I've gotten to get exposed to different things that I never would have ordinarily, and meet extraordinary talent that I wouldn't have met ordinarily. And so I'm very gracious to you guys and what you're doing, and I appreciate it, and I'm very excited to hear you play this later for us, because to sit down and play your piece, because I know, like you said, how many thousands of hours have gone into you perfecting your craft with this. And we talked just a little bit about that was camel bone on the end of the instrument, and I don't even know where to do with that. Like it's beautiful, and was this a handmade?
This is handmade, and this is the maker's name.
Yes, ma'am.
And he's the famous one.
Yes, ma'am.
This is a good one.
That's, yeah, and have you been playing the same one for many years, or do you have several of these?
I have several.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, for different.
Yes, ma'am. What do you enjoy the traveling and getting to play in different places?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
it's a neat one. Well, we are certainly grateful. What else is there anything coming up in the near future that you know we can do to support the symphony? Are there any shows coming up, or what can we do to back you?
March 26th, we've got Jose Feliciano coming to perform with the symphony, and as many of our audiences probably know, that concert was supposed to happen in January, but a member of his band got COVID.
Yes,
and
sir.
So we had to, fortunately we didn't have to cancel, we got to postpone, and we found a date that we could work with and they could work with. So March 26th, Jose Feliciano is going to be here.
Perfect, and we will have you guys on again to talk about that too.
And then we also have in April, we have our last concert of the year. That's, I believe it's the 27th, and that's going to be a full orchestra concert. So you know, we've got more concerts coming up for them to come to. So they can always go to victoriasymphony.com and go and check out and see what's there, and they can buy tickets online. They can call up at the box office or at the office. They can come to get tickets at the door, although I'd say with Jose Feliciano, they probably better call in.
You better get it in advance.
There may not be anything left if they come to the door.
Absolutely. Well, thank you both again for coming. We're going to wrap the show up, or we're gonna end this part, and we're gonna send it over, and we're gonna let you play us out. And I'm very excited. But thank you again for sharing your talent with us and for taking the time to come here. We're very grateful. Guys, what a great show. We're not done yet. We're gonna send it over, and we're gonna let her play us out. But thank you to all of our sponsors. We could not do this without you. Thanks again to Steve and Ethan for filling in while I was gone. I'm blessed, guys. Have a good one. We'll see you at the next one. Thanks so much for tuning in to Victoria Events with Caleb Shaw. Make sure you comment down below, like the post, share the post. It really helps the algorithms. If you haven't done so already, make sure you follow our page. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any episodes. And if you have an event coming on you want featured on Victoria Events, shoot us a message. We'd love to help you get the word out there. Lastly, make sure you support our sponsors. We could not do this show without them, so we're very grateful. Thanks so much, Victoria, and we'll see you at the next one.